Predator Killer of Killers is shit. Now, for full context, I didn't finish watching this film. Genuinely, I watched half of it and I found just so many things that I disliked about it. Rather than actually putting myself through the headache of finishing it, I stopped and I decided rather than falling asleep crying to myself in bed, just due to the sheer issues with this film, I decided instead I was going to scream into the abyss that is YouTube. So, to start, my issues begin with the fact that there's so many times that they show the Predator. And they did really, really great with this in the first Predator film. My gripes with this is that the whole film itself is structured around these time jumps, where essentially there's a Predator that shows up, causes a small amount of carnage. But the issue is that they kept having to show the Predator throughout these clips, like out of his camouflage, like actually in form, like they're fighting, where you can all visually see him. And it felt genuinely that they had to keep reminding you what film you were watching, what franchise this was a part of. And I think that has a lot to do with, again, the time jumping, which to me felt very, very strange. The film opens up in the Viking time period. And I think the whole concept was that it was supposed to be something creative and new and out of the box. However, with the jumps through time, it almost loses its sense of genre. It's no longer just a strictly kind of like man versus animal who has like futuristic sort of tech. It's almost like the technology of the predators is so far beyond the time periods that he appears in that it should be a completely unfair fight. But through convenience, mostly, the predator always seems to lose his camouflage. There was a lot of issues too with the thermal imaging, where he would typically be able to see, the heat signatures of everybody that's around through like his mask. Typically through convenience, there was always some like it's not working now, and I can't see the person. And oh, my biggest complaint ultimately was that the predator ended up dying in the end of both of the clips that I ended up watching. And again, the first one took place in the Viking time period. And then the second one took place in like feudal Japan with like some samurai dudes who were fighting like brothers, I believe. It seemed kind of unclear to me, and I don't exactly understand why they were fighting themselves and then the predator got involved and just the shit went down. But my issue is that the more they had the predator being killed off in each of these clips, very much kind of ruins the danger and the hazard of the predator. If you think about the very first film back in 88, 89, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Predator took an entire film to be killed. And these were also like highly trained special force, like ultimate badass sort of dudes who the Predator ends up just wiping out before finally being outsmarted. He's not over muscled, he's not overpowered. He's outsmarted by the human. And that creates a far more interesting kind of dynamic with a hunter versus the prey concept than just what this movie has, where there's an excessive amount of gore it feels, where the predator shows up, he kills a fair few people, and then kind of the main character ends up, finally duking it out and finally ends up taking him down rather than just like really outsmarting him. And there's a lot of other conveniences in there. I remember there was a convenience where in the Viking, the lady who ends up killing the predator in the end is like hanging off a cliff. Like she's dangling there. She like slammed her shield into like the side of this frozen waterfall. And it finally breaks and she falls. She's falling into like this frozen river below her. But just before she hit the water, there was like a giant icicle that was right next to her that ended up crashing down into the water before her, breaking the ice on the river so that she didn't, splat on the ice and just die immediately, which again was convenient. But then also in that same scene, the predator ends up jumping down onto this frozen river because again he's after her for some reason, and she's still underwater and she's still underneath the ice, and his mask is all fucked up. So the thermal imaging isn't working, and he's looking over the ice, and he can't see her through the ice when she can see him because, again, conveniently, the mask thermal imaging isn't working. Otherwise, it would have been over right there. It makes it very, very difficult to watch when every single time at the end of these clips, one, you know what's going to happen. The predator's going to end up being defeated, which again is such a weird concept for a predator film as a whole, because it's like we have, half a dozen predators, and all of them end up being killed by the end of the film by humans and convenience and such, which again, they show the predator way too much in the movie, which again removes the mystery, removes the real terror. Because I remember in the first film watching it, and you could only really see kind of the POV of the predator, what the predator saw. And you knew that he was hunting these people. You knew that he was after these people, and it's just kind of that impending, like, ooh, shit, something's about to go down, someone's gonna get fucked up. But in this, they don't have it because they show the predator so much. It's like, oh, there he is. It's like the fear of the unknown is completely removed from this, even though there's really no acknowledgement throughout the two clips that I watched. There's not really anybody questioning, what did we just see? And then through that, basically, it removes a whole lot of the danger, like I said, to the predator when he just keeps getting killed. The terror of this ultimate hunter chasing after his prey before finally being outsmarted is effectually ruined. And to me, by the end of the two clips that I watched, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time anymore. It feels as though they took the name, The Predator, and they took kind of the trappings, and they just kind of didn't really understand what they were doing and what the Predator really is. Additionally, I really hate this art style. I think the animation is trash. It's that really kind of cheap looking 3D animation that's not really anime. It just looks really weird. And also the frame rate seems really, really low, but like intentionally, I guess. But it just comes across as being really, really cheap. So, my humble opinion, this movie's shit. Don't watch it. Goodbye.